2, 1.
7 things you probably didn't know you need to know. I'm Jamie East, and this is the Smart 7.
Good morning, everybody. It's Friday the 13th of May, and yep, it's Friday the 13th. Also, it's Blame Someone Else Day. And it's that day every day for me. And a big happy birthday to Stevie Wonder, Harvey Keitel, Richard Madeley and Samantha Morton. After weeks of rubbishing the idea, Chancellor Rishi Sunak finally seems to be considering a windfall tax on energy firms as the cost of living crisis rages on. It comes after some senior politicians feared the controversial tax could deter oil and gas companies from investing in the UK, something oil giant BP has said would make no difference. The Chancellor spoke on Thursday, saying he's pragmatic about the idea.
I'm not naturally attracted to the idea of windfall taxes in general. What I want to see is significant investment back into the UK, into the economy, for jobs and energy security, and I want to see that soon. If that doesn't happen, then, as I've said, no option is off the table.
And after Michael Gove's rubbishing of the notion of an emergency budget this week,
calm down.
Boris was treading very carefully to avoid committing to anything extra.
There is going to be the tax cut for everybody on, or 70% of people on national insurance. That's probably worth about £330. You've already seen the cuts in council tax. We will do things to help people in the short term, of course, and I'm not going to anticipate anything more with that we may do.
Partygate's back in the headlines again as the Met Police announced that Downing Street has now received over 100 fines as part of its investigation into possible lockdown-breaking parties at number 10 and across Whitehall. Boris and Chancellor Rishi Sunak were already hit with fixed penalty notices back in April over the infamous number 10 Cabinet Room birthday bash that was complete with a cake. The Cabinet were all in Stoke-on-Trent for a meeting, but did their best to avoid the questions from the reporters outside. Sam Coates from Sky News tried to get an answer from Boris on the latest round of fines, but didn't get very far.
Are you shocked at the scale of law-breaking in number 10, Prime Minister? How could you let that happen under your watch?
Sure, we're having plenty to say about that when the thing's finished.
Meanwhile, Labour MPs aren't taking the matter as lightly. Speaking on ITV News, the shadow leader of the House of Commons, Thangam Debonair, slammed what she called the industrial-scale partying at number 10.
I think it's extraordinary that where we are today is that we've got a Prime Minister whose fixed penalty notices at 10 Downing Street have now reached a century. And that means they've reached the very dubious distinction of racking up more fines than any other location in Britain, yet he's refusing to do the decent thing.
The consequences of Russia's war on Ukraine continue to unfold as Finland's president and prime minister have confirmed they want to join NATO without delay, less than 24 hours after signing a new security pact with Britain. Sweden's also expected to announce a similar decision within days. It comes as Russia's threatened to take retaliatory steps if its neighbour Finland becomes a NATO member. But the Finnish prime minister says Russia themselves caused the decision.
We would like to maximise our security in way or another.
Former British Army officer Louise Jones is the head of intelligence at McKinsey Intelligence Analysis, and she explained to Sky News how this might play out.
Really good question. So this is a really bad day for President Putin. He did not want this to happen. He's essentially driven a neutral member to join NATO.
Day 3 of the Wagatha Christie libel trial saw Peter Andre take a stand after Chipolata-gate. During the high-profile court case, Mrs Vardy was asked about an interview she gave in 2004 about an alleged sexual encounter with Andre. She was unkind in her reference to him, using the term Chipolata. Well, Peter posted a video on his Insta to say he's had enough of Chipolata jokes and frankly, it's time to stop. He also managed to suggest he's closer to a Sky remote than a tiny sausage.
I've took it for 15 years, but it is a serious matter. And even though, some of you are going to go, oh, get over it, don't say anything, whatever. You got to understand when it goes on and being brought up. And what's even worse is it's brought up in a high court.
But he wasn't the only one getting emotional today, as Sky News reporter Gemma Peplow described.
This whole case, it's been quite intense in court today. We've actually, during the afternoon session, we've had to break a couple of times as Rebecca Vardy has become quite emotional in the witness box.
And don't forget, there's a Smart 7 daily update on Wagatha Christie each day at around 5 p.m. Look out for our special bonus episodes. Still to come on the Smart 7, Rod Stewart's heading to Vegas and David Spade's mum had some interesting parenting techniques.
Right after this. Welcome back. 3,
Thursday night saw Spurs take on Arsenal in the North London derby. With the battle for fourth place and a Champions League spot at stake, it was a high-intensity game. Arsenal's Rob Holding picked up a red card in the 33rd minute and Spurs went on to win 3-0. Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta was furious with referee Paul Tierney, so much so that he wouldn't say.
If I say what I think, I'm suspended 6 months, so I cannot say. I'm allowed to give my interpretation of what happened in the game, but I don't know how to lie, and I don't like lying, so I prefer not to say what I think.
The result leaves Spurs 1 point behind Arsenal with a better goal difference, while both teams have 2 games left to play, so the race for the 4th spot in Champions League football is on. Spurs manager Antonio Conte was pleased with the win, but focused on the next game on Sunday.
This type of game are not easy, because when there are games that you must win, not easy. And we know very well that tonight we had only one result, and for this reason I'm pleased.
Rod Stewart really is forever young, it seems. The Scottish singer's been giving some fitness tips to Entertainment Tonight before he opens his Vegas residency this weekend. He's now 77 years old, and apparently the secret's a combination of exercise and, well, surgery.
I have a trainer who's always with me, running, cycling, everything. Not bad for 77.
I know you recently had some surgery.
Yeah.
How are you feeling physically?
I'm in better shape now than I've ever been. Simply because I played a lot of football when I was young. Well, up until my 60s, really. But it all caught up with an a new knee, so this knee is steel, and the ankle is fused. I can run really fast now.
So what do guns, children and the desert have in common? Not much, right? Well, here's something you probably didn't know about actor David Spade. He had a really, interesting home life when he was growing up. He spilled the beans to James Corden.
Sometimes if she couldn't find the neighbor or a sitter, we would, this sounds bad now, but she would drop us at the end of the desert with our guns, and then she would pick us up 7 miles away to Chevron when she got off work.
7 miles away to Chevron.
So we would just have a lunch, each had a gun, bullets, and Bactine in case everything went wrong.
This has been The Smart 7. Wherever you're listening, do us a favour and hit the follow button. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Have a great day.
Written, produced and published by Daft Doris.